Yo, what's up, party people? It's your brother, your boy, the one and only Trader Main, the oldest Main that you guys even know, because it was my birthday over the weekend here. Many of you know I turned 45 years old, and I look good. You know, I look good for 45. Hair, not much left. But otherwise, I think for someone who's been in crypto for as long as me and being as old as I am, I think I look pretty good. And I'm still keeping up with the kids, or at least doing my best to. So thank you for all the well wishes on Twitter and whatnot. I really appreciate it. This is the order book. We're fucking back, baby. Guys, I'm really excited about today's episode. We got a lot of stuff to discuss. The Twitter algorithm is back. All I see on the timeline is friends now. Just literally friends. Nothing but friends. Now, am I getting any alpha? No, but at least I'm getting less just horrendous politic, racial inciting slop. And I'm seeing my friends. There's people I'm seeing on the timeline today who I genuinely thought were dead. I genuinely thought some of the Bitcoin Birch, like he's still alive? No. I just assumed some of these people either made a bunch of money and just disappeared, or they died. But it's great to see so many familiar faces back on the timeline, and hopefully this can help reinvigorate crypto Twitter, which is having a bit of a renaissance. I will say we're having a bit of a renaissance right now. Activity's up. Is part of that due to the fact that ANSEM's just giving a bunch of people free money? I don't know. Who cares? If that's what it takes, I hope he does it forever. I hope he does it forever. So I'm feeling good. The markets have perked up a little bit. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the fact that this AI memory semiconductor trade is just going insane. Some stuff coming out of Korea, absolutely absurd. And the World Cup, man. Your boy went to a game. We just saw the French let us down yet again, surrendering to Spain without scoring a single goal. Unbelievable. Riots in Paris tonight. You bet. You bet there's going to be riots in Paris tonight because that's all they know how to do, those French people. So should be very interesting. But I'm excited about this episode. We got a lot to talk about. As always, guys, the man, the myth, the legend, Cody is in the chat. And if you have some chart requests, we'll be taking some chart requests throughout the video. I'm going to be covering Bitcoin. I'm going to be covering some of the other majors, some of the other stuff I'm watching, some trade ideas. And if you follow along between the streams, between Discord, between Telegram, and Twitter, hopefully you guys have been making some money because we've been cooking, man. We've been cooking. We've been catching a lot of these trades, which I'm very happy about on the crypto side. And for the infinite time, the infinity time, the Googleplex time, the quadrillionth time, we're going to cover my spot buying plan as I believe we are inching ever closer to the end of this bear market. And all things considered, it hasn't been that bad. Hasn't been that bad. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to start with some charts as always. So looking over here, we got Bitcoin, okay? Not a lot to say yet, okay? So if we just zoom out here on the weekly, right, and we delete all these levels temporarily, we're still very much, in a high time frame downtrend where we're making lower lows and lower highs, right? Now, what I will say is it appears these lower lows are decreasing in amplitude, okay? So what does that mean? Well, you guys have heard me talk about the 5 stages of Main, right? Well, that works on old Bitcoin too, and it works in both directions, right? Here's our most aggressive sell-off, right? And then the sell-off is now starting to cool a little bit. And at some point, whether it's here or not, we're going to have a period of consolidation, right? Most aggressive sell-off, less aggressive, right? period of consolidation, then reversal. So we're close. Whether we're in stage 3 or not yet, or there's one more move down, right? And then the sideways is TBD. But we're getting close. The weekly is still bearish, but the lower lows are getting less. There's less amplitude, okay? They're getting less drastic. No different than on the way up, where the higher highs were decreasing in amplitude. So if I go ahead and take my price range here, when we broke out from here to the next high, right, it was 141%. And then from here to the next high was only 47%. And then from here to the next high was only 16%. And even more tightly, from here to here, right, 10%. From here to here, right, only 5%. From here to here, okay, 9, 10, 5. So as this uptrend got longer in the tooth, the moves up, the peaks, became shallower, as did the dips, right? And that's usually prices losing momentum, and then you get a reversal. And the downside works the exact same. You get your big downside, big bounce, less downside, smaller bounce, then finally it eventually goes sideways. So we're getting less amplitude on the downside. Now, am I not saying we can have one more leg down? We absolutely can. And that's something I'm actually expecting, and we've talked about for a while now. But at the end of the day, we're getting closer to that Q4 bottom, and we're basically in the value area. We've already peaked into the value area just ever so slightly. We've peaked into value just ever so slightly here. So we did tag the 61.8, which could be where the market bottoms. Now, I would like it to bottom lower. I want to buy cheaper. I don't want it to go lower because I'm some dirty, evil, gay bear. I want it to go lower because I'm a handsome Chadley bull who happens to have some stable coins that he would like to deploy at a lower price. But I am willing and able to allow the market to do what it's going to do and make those decisions as they come. So in terms of the spot buying plan, what I have said 1,000 times is I believe 40 to 60K, which is effectively the 61.8 to the 78.6, is deep value for Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin can trade to 150, maybe even 200K next bull run. So if we're already at 65K and the potential downside is, maybe to 40K, that is another 35% lower. But if the upside from here is conservatively at least 100%, right, which is just back to new all-time highs, but maybe even 140 or 200%, the risk reward is now asymmetrically skewing to the upside. And the lower we go, the more it becomes skewed to the upside. So even though I don't know if the bottom's in yet, I think we might have one more shot lower. Even if we don't, at this price right now, we're still asymmetrically skewed to the upside based on a potential maximum downside of maybe 30 to 40%. Maybe it goes lower. Maybe it goes to 30, right? Like maybe we get a really ugly Michael Saylor candle. We have another 50% of downside from current prices. Even another 50% of downside from current prices is still an only additional 20% more downside from the top than we've already had. So even though it's 50% lower from where we are now, it's only another 20% lower from top to bottom. And that would still put us right within the discount range or the depth of a pullback that we had last bear market. Okay? So that would be like a worst case scenario thing, like 30K Bitcoin again, like almost back at the old bear market lows. 75% off the high, though, is not unreasonable. Yes, it's 50% lower than where we are now, but it's only another absolute 20%. And again, the upside is still asymmetrically greater, and even more so as we go lower. So whether or not we end up coming down in here and doing something like this, right? and bottoming like this, and then that's where we buy our spot, or the bottom's already in and we're just going to consolidate here and then break out. In my opinion, the bottom will be in and the breakout will be later in the year and then going into the new year. I think the asymmetry and the looking for shorts, if you're aggressively shorting the market, I think that time is come and gone. This was aggressive shorts. This was aggressive shorts. This was aggressive shorts. Even if we have one more leg down, shorting is less interesting to me as opposed to I want to be accumulating spot. So I've gone over this plan 1,000 times. So if you do not know my spot buying plan now, you're an idiot and you haven't been paying attention, and God help you. Okay. But for the final time, I will go over it right here. So I just explained everything in terms of potential downside stuff. Anytime Bitcoin dips below 60, I'm going to buy. I've already bought some on a dip below 60. The deeper it goes below 60, the more I will buy. And the lower it goes, the heavier I will buy. And whatever I have not deployed, by the time the market puts in a weekly bullish market structure break, I will put in the remainder there. So let's assume price does this, and I'm buying. And I have orders down here. But then the market does this. Let me just make this more realistic here. Does this. Okay, forget the time element here because I'm just squiggling. It is now put in a weekly MSB. So even though I'm buying, and I had more orders at 40K, I'm not never going to deploy that capital if it doesn't get there. I'm going to deploy that capital here on a weekly market structure break. This is the exact same way that I traded the last bear market. So in the last bear market, I started buying the moment we started trading within the sweet spot and discount range of the OTE of the last bull run. So I started buying. I bought more. Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX stole a bunch of my money, millions of dollars, and it really pissed me off. Okay. But I bought more with whatever money I had left. And then when the market pumped up like this and created a market structure break here, all the dry powder I had remaining, I put in on this move here. And I even tweeted about it, posted it on Discord and in Telegram, and I talked about it on stream when we got that sweep. I said, I'm in for the remainder. Did I want to buy at 10K? Yeah. I have tweets saying, hey, I'd love for it to go to 10K, 12K. That never happened. So that money that was waiting here got deployed here. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, I don't know if I can help you. It might be too late for you. You might need to consider another profession. So that's the plan. So if 6 months from now, Bitcoin has done this, and you're like, Maine, when are we buying spot? I'm already deployed, brother. Like, I'm already gone, bro. It's already too late. You know? It's already too late. You just sent me the you up text. Bro, I'm sleeping. I'm texting you the next morning. Dude, I'm so sorry. I fell asleep. We couldn't game. I made that sound like we were going to have a late night sneaky link. That's not what I'm insinuating. I am not gay. I'm married. Okay? It's impossible for me to be gay. She's a real woman. She just hangs out on Blue Sky, not on Twitter. What's up, boys? What's up, Mando? How you doing, big dog? Shout out to Mando. Oops, I just fucked my screen up. Okay, so the plan is simple, right? So again, if this happens and you're like, Maine, when are we buying spot? Dude, I've left you behind, man. I'm on the last fucking chopper out of Saigon. And, you're still in the opium den and it's over for you. Okay. So very, very clear, very, very straightforward game plan. And if you don't know what I'm doing, spot buying, buy now. Again, I cannot help you. I even went further to tweet out my exact thesis in writing. So I've gone over it in stream, in Telegram, and Twitter multiple times. Here it is in writing, okay? We're close to a bottom in both time and price. If Bitcoin can still trade lower, possibly. We don't know. But I believe we're close. I think Q4 is the bottom, and that's right around the corner. I want to be fully allocated by the end of the year. Whatever doesn't get filled on the dip gets punted in once we break weekly market structure bullishly. I just explained what that means. Overall, I still like the idea of one more lower high and a lower low, but anything can happen. The low could already be in, right? We might just go sideways now. We might just turn around now. I still think at best, like, it's not just a vertical reversal from here. It doesn't make sense. Sideways makes more sense. But anyways, the bulk of the downside is done, and the long-term RR is bullish at this point in time and price. I think 150 to 200K is possible in the next bull run, while max downside, maybe it's 30K. I don't know. Either way, the math favors long-term bullishness. We've already traded 50% off the high, and where each bear market has been less severe, even a 70% move off the high, which is less than the last bear market high to low, is only a 15% of absolute more downside from the top. However, it's like 35% lower from here. So that's what I just explained here. I hope you guys all understand. And if you don't by now, I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, because this is not for you, okay? This is as simple as I can make it, and I think as clear and direct as I can make it, all right? So if there's any questions about that, let me know in the chat. But hopefully, I don't know how many people are that clear about their thesis. Not a lot. I'm like, this is everything I think. Here's my entire thought process. Love me or hate me, but you better love me, or else I'll be really sad. If there's questions in the chat, let me know. Let's look at some short-term price action now. Bitcoin Dive Bar says, why do you and others keep trashing MicroStrategy? I don't think I'm trashing MicroStrategy. I think Michael Saylor's kind of been an idiot. I think Michael Saylor has handled the entire strategy, see what I did there? Quite poorly. Never sell your Bitcoin. Sell your kidney or your house or your wife before you sell Bitcoin. And then he sells a bunch of Bitcoin. So I think he's a bit of a clown. I think he's, I don't like the Saylor overhang. I don't love the strategy product. I think he's gotten way too forward on his skis because of it. So that's why I'm hating on it. I think that's all pretty fair. And if you look at the strategy chart, you know, I've actually been looking for reasons to buy it, right? So I drew this out last video. And I said, hey, maybe we're going to get a little bit of a relief rally here on strategy on some sort of trend line break. And we're kind of potentially getting that right now. So I go both ways. Kind of like a bisexual. All right, so let's talk about short-term Bitcoin price action. So as you guys know, Giga Chad Main and the boys on stream, we longed both Solana and Bitcoin at the lows. Solana and Bitcoin. And I gave you the reasoning for why we initially longed Solana first. Because Solana was not only the biggest mover, it moved before Bitcoin did. So before Bitcoin even broke out, Bitcoin was still down here. Solana had already broken out. And the reason we had taken Solana over Bitcoin initially was this SMT. Lower lows on Bitcoin, higher lows on Solana, insinuating Solana strength. Okay? So that's the long we took on Solana, was basically stop entry target. And then on Solana, we also had that 15-minute compound entry, which also worked out perfectly, and we took on stream here. Okay? But then Bitcoin went ahead and printed a setup. So Bitcoin printed a setup. So I had to take that as well, because why not, right? If the setup's there, I'm going to take it. So Bitcoin printed an H12, H1 setup at the lows. We had this weekly SFP down here at the range lows. Then we put in a daily sweep. We entered right in this move here. We took this up, and then we TP'd a bunch because I thought this was a good area to TP, coming into resistance here. And then I wanted to see us retest this basically so I could compound and get back in for another trade. And it looks like we front run that level for the time being. I watched as we kind of just consolidated here. We had like an H4 sweep, and this is a level I drew out. And I said, hey, we might, if the market's really strong, only pull back to here. And that's all that's happened so far. And I didn't have a setup here. We didn't get a sweep in here. We didn't run Monday's low. So I didn't have an opportunity to long again here. So this leg of the move, I'm simply not in. I longed from the lows here. I TP'd. I wanted to compound back here. It didn't happen. So whether or not I still get an opportunity to enter, I don't know. It's looking less likely now, right? Now this is looking like it wants to make another higher high here on the H12. So if that's the case, right? If we're going to go ahead and make another higher high here, low, high, higher low, higher high, I'll then look for a new setup to form like something like this. And I'll look to take that into here and up into the 70K level. So if the entire move is this, right? And I catch this and this, I'm not too concerned if I miss part of it, right? Like you have to stop being a perfectionist and being under this like crazy assumption that you're going to catch every single trade, every single move. Now, according to Twitter, according to social media, everybody is always long everything all the time. Like if something went up, you know damn well everyone on Twitter magically longed it. Even though they never talked about it before, they might have bare posted it an hour before it went up. It doesn't matter. They longed the bottom. All of these people, for the most part, are fucking LARPs, okay? They're liars. They're not trading. So don't hold yourself to this standard of something that is completely fucking made up. It's like idolizing lifestyles that you see on Instagram. The average person's day is not their Instagram feed. Their Instagram feed is the highlight reel. So if you're looking at your day to day and going, man, this guy's just doing sick shit all the time, my life fucking sucks, there's plenty of times that that person's life fucking sucks. They're just only sharing the peaks, the good stuff, the highlights. Social media trading is no different. People are only going to show off their winning trades, and a lot of them are just going to lie completely about what they're doing and make it seem like they're in every trade. They never get anything wrong. Oh my God, everyone longed everything, right? Everyone's long. Oh my God, no, everyone missed the bottom. It's like, dude, we longed the literal bottom. People are like, man, you drew this box here and it went up. What the fuck? It's like, dude, I longed here. Forget this box. We longed here on stream. We longed Solana at the lows. And then we TP'd because I trade, right? So if it's going to go up more, I'll look for a new setup. And that's how you have to think as well. Each trade is its own thing. I don't need every trade I take to be the one that goes back to all-time high. I wanted to take a trade from here to here. That's what I did. We're now looking for new trades. Okay, so if this is a breakout here, I will look for a new setup to form. So for the time being, I'm not in this most recent little leg here on Bitcoin. I'm going to wait and see what happens, right? Stock market, CPI came in cool. Stock market pumped a little bit. Korean stock market's nuking. Like there's a whole bunch of things that could go on that could cause the market to tilt back down. The Iran-US conflicts escalating. With this market doesn't seem to care. Maybe that's bullish. All that matters is that we take each trade as it comes to us. So right now, what I'm watching for on Bitcoin, like all this, right, is still relevant because we could absolutely like spill here. Seems less likely now unless this becomes a giant sweep. But that's what I'm going to watch for. I'm going to see if price gets some sort of break in structure here, which is looking like it is now. I will have a new H12 range from here to here with a new demand zone here that I can look to play this next continuation leg. And from a weekly perspective, right, if we just look at where we are, this is our weekly down leg. My expectation is that price trades up into here and then forms a lower high. Now, it doesn't have to. It can do this. It can do this. It can fucking trade up here. Like, we don't know. But every time we make a new weekly leg down, my expectation is a bounce into the premium and then a lower high. But that's not always going to happen, right? That's what I thought was going to happen on this last weekly leg. And lo and behold, I don't know why this is fucking happening. Right? We came shy of the 62. We traded into the 50%. So we're in the premium, but we didn't come to the OTE. This weekly down leg, we came precisely into the OTE. Right? So sometimes it gets there. Sometimes it falls short. You don't know. We don't know what's going to happen until it happens. So my draw for now on price is higher. I think we put in some sort of weekly lower high, but I don't know where that's going to be. So I'm going to be watching, and I'm willing to take longs on the way to here, and I will get out of those and look for shorts on any signs of weakness. What is a sign of weakness? Well, when we get like break above and back below a high, break above and back below a high, an SFP, whatever it may be. Like we had a weekly, in these two instances, weekly SFP here. Okay, bounce is probably over. Right? In this one, 3-day breaker and market structure break. Bounce is probably over. So if this thing bounces up here and then does like this, guess what? Bounce is over. I'm looking to short down into here. And it's just going to continue and ebb and flow and ebb and flow. Main, why did CBS text me saying you were Mossad? If I was a Mossad agent, I'd probably be the worst Mossad agent possible. But just in case Benjamin Netanyahu is watching, Shabbat Shalom. I don't know, bro. Anyways, so that's what I'm looking at low time frame here. I'm just going to wait and see where this little pump ends. And then if it breaks above these highs, I'll look to long a dip because I do think that this can continue a little higher. But ultimately, I still think we get one leg lower. And so any sign of weakness on this move up, I will fade. So if it's a sweep here, if it's a sweep of this high, if it's some sort of rejection upper resistance here, that's what I'll look for. But for now, this is in a low time frame uptrend. Assume it continues until it doesn't. Okay? What do I think about a 60 to 61 pullback before longing higher? Well, I mean, that was my original plan. When we had up here, I wanted to see a long here. It doesn't look like we're getting that. And the fact that we have this big move up here now makes me think it's less likely. Anything's possible, but yeah. So that's my plan on Bitcoin for now. Now let's talk about ETH because people are bull posting ETH. All of a sudden, Nikita fixes the algorithm and my whole feed is bull posting ETH. So as always, when people start bull posting ETH, the first thing you have to do is go look at ETH BTC and ask yourself why. Why might people be bull posting ETH? So I think the obvious answer for why people are bull posting ETH is because ETH BTC is in an area where it could be putting in a higher low and because ETH USD is near its range lows. So we'll look at ETH BTC first. So ETH BTC, right? Massive disappointment for many years here, but now it's basically fully retraced this move. And it's showing its first signs of life in a very long time. Now, what you want to be careful of is, obviously, we could reject right here. You don't know, right? But instead of making lower highs and lower lows for years, literally 4 years straight of lower highs, lower lows, we made a lower low, a lower high, and then potentially a higher low for the first time in literally 4+ years. And conveniently enough, that potential higher low is occurring right at monthly demand. So you have a monthly order block that price came into and is putting in potentially some sort of reversal. Now, this is still very early days, but it's a somewhat promising sign. And this is the chart that I think probably everyone has on their timeline right now, is we're breaking this trend line here. Now, the risk that you have, of course, right, with anything like this is we can break the trend line, right, and get right back under. That being said, this structurally is the best this chart has looked in years, quite literally years. We have the monthly demand. We have a potential higher low that won't be confirmed until way up here, but potential higher low. And we have kind of this weekly chart breaking out of this downtrend line. It still hasn't made a weekly higher high. That doesn't occur till here. But breaking out of the downtrend is kind of like a clue that it might be going to make a weekly higher high. And then on the daily, we have had a market structure shift. We went from making lower highs and lower lows to all of a sudden higher highs and higher lows. So we had a daily market structure shift here as well, but that failed, right? Because the weekly was still in a downtrend. So we don't get actual confirmation of a higher time frame reversal on the weekly until above here. So that's your weekly market structure level. So the daily can be in an uptrend and still make a lower high on the weekly. You would know this if you watched all of these videos in Trader Main's Bootcamp, this awesome free trading educational course that I'm putting a lot of work into, and I'd really appreciate if you went and watched all the videos, 10, 20, 30, 40 times each, and force your friends and family to watch them as well. So this can fail, but where this is happening is a lot more important based on the weekly and the monthly than where this one happened. So this is why your entire feed is bull posting ETH. No different than when everyone was bull posting Solana and a few curmudgeonly assholes on the timeline were like, everyone's bull posting Solana. Come and talk to me once it's actually done something. I said, hey, if everyone's bull posting it, let's go look at the chart and see if there's a good reason. There is a good reason here based on the chart to look at ETH. Okay? So that's ETH BTC. At monthly demand, the weekly's attempting to break up, and the daily has reversed market structure. Let's just leave those on. Those look good, okay? So now the next thing is to look at ETH USD. And ETH USD has been in that deep range low area, in this value area that we have had marked out for a while, where I said, hey, anything really in this area is value. Last time we came down here, we rallied, to 4,800, almost $5,000. We're back down in that area now. We fully retraced this last bear market kind of rally here. And we're in the discount of this really, really high time frame zone. Right? From here to here, we're in the discount. And if you want to use this zone, right, we're still in the discount. So we're in an area of value. We're in an area of demand. We're also in a monthly demand block on ETH, just like we are on Bitcoin. So again, why is everyone bull posting ETH? Open up the chart and figure it out yourself. Right? Look yourself. Don't rely on what other people are saying. Make your own decisions. All right. So it's in demand and it's turning around. It's in monthly demand. Similarly to ETH BTC, you can kind of draw like a very crude trend line here and say, hey, this thing's trying to break out. Doesn't make a higher high until 2,400, but it doesn't mean it can't trade to fucking 2,000. It can still make a lower high on the weekly, but have a very nice move up here. So that's why people are talking about ETH. The chart is calling for it. Now, do I still think ETH can go below 1,500 and below 1,000 even? Yeah, if Bitcoin legs down one more time, I think we can see lower prices on ETH, and I would buy those, as I've said before. But this is absolutely an interesting area, coupled with Bitcoin perking up. And I think arguably a large reason for this as well is the Robinhood lighter collab too, right? You kind of have Robinhood lighter, versus hyperliquid Solana. But again, this is good news, right? And these are the kind of things that I think you want to see happen near the end of a bear market. You want to see assets that are down 60, 70, 80, 90% from their highs that you're interested in, where the chart is giving you a reason to be interested in. That's the stuff that you want to look at. That's the stuff that you want to trade. If you're looking to accumulate coins, you're trying to get crazy outsized returns on altcoins. The time to be chasing altcoins is not heat of the bull run when everybody is shilling you random dog shit memes. It's going and looking for stuff that, whether or not you believe in what the token's doing, the chart is beaten to shit and is looking like it's starting to turn around. And it looks good versus BTC. It looks good versus ETH. It looks good versus USD. And you can argue that Solana, ETH are getting to those points, whether this is the low for them or this is just a rally before another leg down. it's an interesting spot here. Just like this was an interesting spot that ended up giving us, you know, a decent, what was this, 40% rally? Even though it made a lower high, it's a 40% move. There's money to be made there. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm watching and looking for, and why I'm looking for trades and taking trades like the Solana trade and the Bitcoin trade. And you guys know I'm not a meme coin guy, not a trencher, but if you, it sucks, right? Trading is hard. Getting good at trading is really hard, and most of you are going to lose your money. You're going to lose your fucking ass. It's a fact. But if you put the time in and you watch this boot camp series that I'm doing, you watch my old streams, you follow some of the great other trading content creators out there who give tons of free game away, you can learn to trade and give yourself better odds in these markets, finding trades like the ones that I always share on a consistent basis. And I think your likelihood of getting profitable is way higher than trying to trade the latest, greatest meme coin. Unless you have that video game-like skill to trench, or you're part of these cabals that are scamming these coins, because that's part of it as well. I think your odds are better. Your odds are shitty in both instances. Trading is really hard, and trenching, it's like almost no one makes money. I understand how I'm teaching trading. You're not going to turn $1,000 into $1 million overnight, but you can absolutely compound an account to a very big size. I've seen guys who have followed me trading with tens of thousands of dollars who are now millionaires. It took them years, took them a lot of time and effort, and ultimately skill and perseverance. But they made millions and millions of dollars off of a small investment by compounding in the bull and learning to trade and systematically taking more trades with bigger size as your account grows. It's not the lottery ticket that you have in meme coins. It's different. You can do both. But I personally believe in trading. If you're like going to do this thing, learning to trade is so fucking important. But it doesn't have the flashiness and the allure of meme coins, because in trading, when you see the big, huge P&L, that person probably traded with big, huge size. And then sometimes you see the person who makes 20 million on a meme coin and they put in 10 grand. Like, that's just like a 1% outcome. And again, you can't win the lottery without buying the ticket. But yeah. Over on Twitter, Trader Main, you're a real G. One of the realest, speaking from my heart, since these days are filled with filth and scammers. And I hope you can change our lives like your life changes. I'm doing my best. Swag Toshi says, y'all cooked. Stock market to zero. I like my assets like I like my women, free from counterparty risk. Okay. Dog Boy says, I wish I had the whiteboard series years ago. It would have saved me a bunch of time and money. Bro, me too. Part of the reason why I'm doing this whiteboard series is like, this is the type of video series that I wish I had when I started. Because when I started, I was piecing information together from all over the place, all these different places. I had to go and look for info and build this stuff on my own. If I can put at least, you know, a 20, 30 video series together where this is a good starting point. It's not the be all end all, but it's a good starting point to get you started on your journey. I think it can expedite things for a lot of you. Hey, man, how often do you check order flow to get into trade? Never. Kalua2489 says, unblock me, boy, on X. First of all, it's man or sir. I'm in my 40s. And what did you do? Did you say something mean and rude? I've been pretty liberal with the block lately. Like, if you're just a dick, I'll just block you. I don't need negativity in my life. I am prosperous, generous, happy, healthy, and I live in abundance. And I got no time for negativity. So if you're going to be negative, you're going to catch a swift block. So too fucking bad. Mando, you're the fucking goat, bro. Mando wants to know what I think about Hyperliquid. Let's take a look at it. Hyperliquid, like, to me, is still one of my favorite assets on the entire market. And I think it's still pretty bullish. Like, I think there's an argument to be made that, like, Lighter is probably, you can't look at Lighter on here, can you? Lighter has probably stolen, like, some of its thunder. for sure. I think that that's a safe assessment, at least recently. But Hyperliquid is still, in my opinion, like one of the most bullish charts on the market here, right? One of the most bullish charts on the market here. So like lighter, obviously super bullish Robinhood news, blah, blah, blah. Like this looks like it's going to new highs, but I think you can make an argument that, you know, this thing is going to go to highs too. If the market breaks out higher, like why not? Right? You could either enter this literally now or just like wait for the breakout and then like long here or long below this low. Like I don't hate that trade at all. So I still like Hyperliquid a lot, and I hope and pray, like we're in the upper part of the range, so I don't like, this is not as ideal, but within this price range, you know, this is where it should hold. If it's going to hold, I think you can justify a long right around here, to be honest with you. But like high time frame still looks incredible. And if we're lucky, if the gods bless us with a monster pullback on Bitcoin, so like we just get one more wash to like, I don't know, 45, 50K, and we just get like something like this. And if Hyperliquid gives you a chance to long it like here, I'm not saying this is going to happen, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it does happen, I want to be ready. If it comes down to like 40 to 50, 35 to 50, I'm just like buying. I'm just buying. I don't know if we ever get down here before, you know, new highs, but if we do, I want to be paying attention. I don't want to be like, oh my God, everything looks like shit. I want to be like, this is a gift from upon high to get long relatively cheap hype before the next bull run starts. So I'm still very bullish Hyperliquid. Short term, if the market's going to go up from here, this is kind of like right bang on demand. Again, however you want to trade it, the risk reward's good with even a pretty loose stop. Or you wait for a little bit of a breakout, but I like it. I called you on your BS. No hard feelings. What was my BS, bro? Can you share the tweet that you sent, and then we'll share it with the class, and we'll see if they agree that it's BS or not. My trade on Near played out. Are we surprised? Is anyone surprised? Well, it hasn't played out yet, but it's playing out would be a fair assessment, right? So we had talked about this weekly low getting taken out, and then effectively a 12-hour breaker, 12-hour market structure shift. And I said, you can long this thing basically right now. I wouldn't say it's played out yet, right? But you're up almost 1R, just about. So I think the idea is still sound, and you just want to see this thing push higher now, right? But yeah, I think we charted this last Thursday. So when we set this one up, but it looks decent. So good shit. All right, let's we'll go into TradFi. Fuck it. We'll quickly cover. Should we cover TradFi? VVV short from a few weeks ago. I share so many trade ideas I don't even remember. I imagine it was up here. Was this breakdown short is what you're talking about? But VVV has a similar setup to Near if it can get above here. Then it's basically the same setup as Near. I like it less, though, because I imagine no more weekly SFP. Is it a monthly SFP? No. No. Well, I like it less. It's not as good as Near, but if it's able to get above here, it's basically the same thing. You're telling me I shorted VVV at the Pico top on stream and told you guys to do it, and it was beautiful on this 3 drives pattern, right? 3 drives pattern and then the breaker. Really nice setup. One of my favorites. Shout out Dog Boy. Hell yeah, you made money. That's what we love to hear, my guy. So obviously CPI came in cool and the market pumped. I wish I had more for you here. We're attempting to break out. So if we're able to break out above all-time highs, I think you can just long the stock market and put your stop either below this low or if you're conservative, this low here. Okay, one of those two lows, but really it's the low that made the breakout high. That's kind of the one you want to put it below. And if we do get some sort of rollover, which I don't know, maybe we do, anything can fucking happen. I still like this old kind of SR flip as the next area. So nothing's really changed there. NQ, it's the same thing. We talked about short term, right? Like this little breaker play. Get above there, trade up to there. It's kind of exactly what happens. So you can delete those lines for now. But it's the same setup effectively. I want to see a breakout, right? Like right now, this is resistance and it's making lower highs and lower lows. This is a potential turning point in the market. I'll be interested on a breakout, either above all-time high, or if you're really aggressive, you can take a breakout of the trend line with your stop below there. So I prefer this setup, but if you're aggressive, break of the trend line, stop below there is the other option. But I'm not actively trading either of these markets. I'm not trading, this stuff right now. I've just been really locked in on crypto for the most part. Dollar, we've been tracking potential pullback here before higher. I'm still bullish on the dollar high time frame. And yeah, I mean, NVIDIA, right? I said we need a market structure break. We need a market structure break. We could be putting in this lower high. So we got one, but we don't get confirmation until we get that second move lower. And for now, we haven't got that. So this thing's pushed up. This still absolutely could be creating a lower high, but there's no confirmation that this is like a serious top, right? Which is, a monthly move above and then back below. There's no confirmation of that until we get back below here. So on the weekly, right, we've got a lower low. And this is a weekly breaker now, potentially, but I need that secondary shift below here for me to get like really bearish on this thing and think that we can come wash out these lows here. Until then, I'm just kind of chilling. You could argue we have a little trend line break here, kind of like I just showed you on NASDAQ. So if this thing starts really going, right, it could go make new highs. And, it is what it is. The party goes on. The music continues. Micron. I talked about the losing amplitude here on these highs. Let's see if it could hold demand on this trend line. Bounced a little bit, failed. We're now at this secondary trend line and it's trading below it. Still kind of holding demand. I think if you're a Micron bull, you really want to see it get back within the trend line here and then ultimately trade to new highs. Like you want to see this thing make a significant and fresh all-time high. If we bounce here and put in a lower high and then like this, then I think major haircut coming for something like this. So if you're a bull on Micron still, I want to see a fresh, new, significant all-time high that's going to break this kind of, three drives losing steam pattern. And I want to see it, occur from effectively here. Whereas if it just bounces here into a lower high, I think then, this trade might be done for a little bit. And I mean, a lot of this trade is already done, but we could be seeing a larger correction. If Bitcoin SFPs here on the H12, am I going to look for shorts? I mean, not necessarily right off the bat, potentially. Like if it SFPs like this, I don't really care. I want to see it be like a decent looking SFP, like significant move above, but potentially, I think potentially we're kind of into resistance here. I would much rather it sweep this or this high or give me a solid sweep. So up there and then close significantly lower. Bullish dollar long-term, bad for BTC. I mean, sometimes, right? Sometimes it's not a one-to-one inverse correlation. So just because the dollar's going up, it doesn't mean Bitcoin is going to go down, right? We've had periods where the dollar goes up and Bitcoin goes up as well. It's not a one-to-one inverse. I think the dollar could go on a rally, but that also could lead to our one more lower low on Bitcoin, right? I'm really curious if this guy's going to come back into the chat and show us mean thing that he said to me online that caused me to block him. He said he's calling me on my BS, so I want to see it. What BS am I spewing? If I had to guess, he's someone who posted some sort of tweet or chart from like a year ago or 6 months ago and is going, look, you said this and something else happened. You're an idiot. And I'm like, oh my God. God forbid a man changes his mind as the market changes. Yeah, that's really it. We're going to get into some of these other kind of AI semi-charts a little bit later as we talk about some of the stuff happening in the news. So I'm going to move on here. Unless there's any questions in the chat, feel free to ask questions, guys. I'll move on to chart requests here. So we've got ZCash. So if you remember, whenever we looked at this last, we'd kind of drawn out this demand zone and said, hey, is this like a potential higher low spot here, right? And that's kind of what we're getting right now. I still don't like this chart personally, just because of this big wick down here. It just like, it makes it messy and it makes it less literally visually appealing, which fucking tweaks out my OCD and makes me not want to look on it, not look at it. But if you ignore the like kind of big, you know, exploit or potential exploit wick, and just look at it like on the weekly, really what we're looking at is this, right? We're looking at this weekly demand zone here. Ignore that wick is there and that this is just a retest of that weekly demand. And really what you're looking for, if you're a bull on this thing, is low, high, higher low. Now you want to see a higher high. Like that is what you're looking for if you're bullish. Whether or not it gets up there, I have no idea. Once you dial in a few other time frames, right? Like you could argue the weekly is putting in an internal break there. And then if you go down to like the daily, right? That's where I got this level that I had mapped out there. It's kind of like the daily demand zone, daily order block. And it came in and tagged that. And now it's pushing up. So if this thing is ready to break out here, I'll simply allow it, right? And then the next pullback is the setup. You do got to be aware that we're getting close to resistance here, right? Like we're arguably in it already. This is a lower high. So if we're going to put in a lower high relative to this leg, kind of happens around here. So that's what I'd be watching. But if we get a nice strong break above this and then a pullback, I think that could be worth a long, but I'm not trading this coin, to be completely honest with you. What are your thoughts on silver? Do you think it will sell off more? I don't know. If the dollar rallies like I think it can, right? If the dollar rallies like I think it can, I think we can get kind of generational buys, sub 4K gold, and maybe like back into the low 50s, high 40s on silver. But if the dollar isn't going to rally and the dollar is going to roll back over, back below the range level here and do one of these, then there's a chance that the lows are already in on this thing. So this is kind of what I had drawn off last time. It made a low. If it's able to break out here, I think that's a long on gold. Silver is very similar setup, right? If it's able to break out, right? If we're able to break out, it's probably a long short term. But I think if the dollar rallies like I think it could, one more sell-off, I'd be very interested in buying, you know, mid 40s to low 50s silver. And I'd be very interested in buying gold, you know, as low as I can get it below 4,000. I think those would end up being pretty good entries, you know, long term. Verhoofdy Floofton asks, where do babies come from? So anytime me, your mother, or your sister get in a room, a baby is born. And you might be like, well, Maine, how's that possible? There's so many babies being born all the time. Well, if you notice, there's actually been a bit of a declining birth rate in many places, and it's because I've been so busy. I've been so busy lately running my company, doing these streams, creating these videos that I haven't had as much time to impregnate your mother and your sister. But soon as things slow down a little bit, I'll get right back on it, and we'll make Elon proud and we'll repopulate the planet. But yeah, you know. But not gay, right? You got to be above the gay line for that to work. Below the gay line, wrong hole. Your sister is 14. I'm not talking about your sister, obviously. That's gross that you even think of your sister that way. You're weird. What's the next thing here? TAO. I mean, this thing just hasn't done anything. I've been like, every time I open Kraken Pro, for some reason it defaults to this chart, and it just hasn't moved, right? It hasn't moved. So monthly sweep, and then I kind of have this like inverse head and shoulders over under on the weekly that I've drawn out, order block, low, lower, low, higher, low. But you can see here for like a month and a half, we've just been kind of up, down, and just banging at this level. So this is exactly where I would want to see the higher low form, is what I said whenever I charted this last time. And it's still holding here. Now, does that mean that this is a good trade? Well, I don't know. ETH pumped, Solana pumped, Near pumped, Lighters pumped. Like, there's a lot of coins that have already gone up. Bitcoin's up $5,000 off the low, and Near is still holding at the same price that it was at a month and a half ago. Right? Bitcoin is up $5,000 in the last couple of days, couple of weeks, and Near is at the same low it was at the start of the month. So, you know, TAO is definitely one of those coins that, like, I think, you know, pretty commonly gets forgotten about, and then all of a sudden it just rips and everyone's like, what the fuck? It's absolutely at one of those places where it could just put in a big green candle. Like, this is where it should happen if it's going to. It just hasn't happened yet. But yeah, it's still holding at this same area. And you just got to kind of wait and see. Are you willing to take the punt here? Like, if you want in the trade, stop either goes there or there, in my opinion. And like, this is kind of the spot to get in. Or you wait for some sort of low time frame trigger. But I'm like I don't trade this coin pretty much ever. But this is exactly where you want the higher low to kind of form if it's going to. Someone said, check out the Near trade. Kind of just talked about gold. Yeah, we talked about the Near trade already. So it's in profit. I didn't take this trade. Full disclosure. You know how generous and fucking magnanimous your boy Maine is? Look that word up. Magnanimous. I'm full of magnanimity. I'm so generous, so magnanimous, so handsome, modest, and large penised that I share trades that I don't even take and they make money. Now, obviously, if I share a trade that I don't take and it doesn't make money, well, it's not my fault. I didn't take it. But if I share a trade that I don't take, but it does make money, you're welcome. You see how that works, right? So yes, this is in profit. This is like kind of a pretty straightforward setup here. High time frame demand, entry fractal, all the things that you would want. It's right here. You want to know how to enter trades, study this. Study, bro. I studied, you study. And if this goes up, then great. But yeah, I didn't take this personally. UNI. Uni. Sorry. Oh my gosh, that's so rude. I've been staying up too late. I'm reading a new book. I'm reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. Because Red Rising I finished in an ungodly amount of time. And I needed something new. And I just finished the first book of Dungeon Crawler Carl. Dungeon Crawler Carl. Say that 10 times fast. And I like it. It's not Red Rising. It's not nearly as deep, and the writing's not nearly as good, but it's entertaining. So yeah, we got obviously high time frame demand here. And we swept below old lows, and we're here, right? Like, does this not kind of look like potential 5 stages of main? Aggressive, less aggressive, sideways here. So if it's able to break out of this range, like, yeah, it's a long, right? Like, we're able to get above here, it's probably a long. I think otherwise you kind of just like wait and see. Like, it's stopped selling off now. Now it's going sideways. Let's wait and see. And again, to my point from earlier, if you're like, hey, when alt season, when can I buy alts? It's like, now is the time to look at altcoins, if ever. If you've been looking at altcoins, you know, the last couple of years, you've been getting dog walked. But now a lot of this stuff is down like 90, 95, 98% off the highs into high time frame demand. And even if this thing never makes another all-time high again, if it does this, you're telling me that there's not money to be made on a multi-100% move, right? Of course there is. So if you've been waiting to look through altcoins and you don't want to chase the new hottest meme coins that are probably going to rug and probably go to zero, all these are going to zero as well. There's a ton of altcoins that are down 95%, 99% from all-time highs that are putting in, you know, maybe some sort of reversal. And there's money on the floor to be picked up. This thing is up 30% in the last 2 weeks. 30% in the last 2 weeks. That's a lot of movement. You're telling me there's not a trade in this thing right here, from here to here? If you're paying attention, even just longing the reclaim of the high time frame low, right, was a setup. Deviation, reclaim with displacement with an FVG, you just long it, stop there. That's a trade, right? So lots of stuff to look at. Absolutely, this could be one of them, similar to near. But yeah, looks okay. I would want to see kind of what it does now, right? Like, is it gonna, it just made a lower low and then reclaimed it? Is it going to now make a market structure shift, right? That would be kind of the key level to watch there. What's good, Maine? Curious on how you reconcile an expected pullback on equities, TradFi, but a potential turnaround on Bitcoin. Typically, don't they cycle somewhat in tandem? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I mean, I would say in recent memory, we've seen stocks go, we've seen this, right? We've seen stocks go down, Bitcoin go down, and then stocks V reverse, and then Bitcoin just go down more. So it's not always a one-to-one correlation. Sometimes these assets are very correlated. Sometimes they're not very correlated at all. I'm not saying that there's even going to be a turnaround in equities. We're pushing at highs right now. I'm ready to break out long this thing above all-time high, which would line up very well with Bitcoin going higher. If equities do turn around, Bitcoin is still firmly in a downtrend, and I would look for some sort of sign of weakness and expectation that it's going to rotate lower. Look at the date here. This is May 26th. Sorry, May 12, 2026. Right? What happened there on equities? Equities went higher. Bitcoin topped and equities went up and then had a tiny pullback and Bitcoin ate shit. So that's what I'd be aware of, is if equities do pull back at all. So far, up until very recently, it's caused Bitcoin to have an exaggerated effect in that opposite direction. But yeah, sometimes they're not lockstep. It's absolutely something to be aware of. If equities start to puke, I would be looking for signs of weakness in Bitcoin. And me personally, I don't believe the bottom is in on Bitcoin. I still think we get either a lower low, right? So maybe it's like a lower high and then a lower low, right? Or I think at the other alternative is the bottom's not in, right? But we're not going to get a significant lower low, and we're actually forming our bottoming range. And maybe that means from here, we trade higher, right? But then we just like range. But I'm not expecting this to just V bottom to new highs personally. I could be wrong. And this thing can rally well into the 70s, even up into the 80s, and still put in bearish high time frame structure. So keep that in mind. CRV, like nothing to say. It's just in this range. I drew this range out maybe a month or two ago. I'm like, it's just still in a range, and extended out even further in time, we're still in a range. So, you know, yes, it's up, right? It's up 7% in the last week. It's up off the lows, and we are at the range lows of this larger range. So again, there's meme coins that you're going to get fucking rugged on, and then there's coins that are down from their all-time high 98%. And then from this recent high, it's down 80+%. So if there's a coin that might pump and it looks like this, like, and it puts in some sort of bullish setup, there's going to be money to be made on picking up some of these coins down here and buying these breakouts and things like that. But this is just still ranging, right? So 5 stages of main, aggressive sell-off, less aggressive. This is still in the sideways. It hasn't gone up yet. Now, it could go up, right? Could be getting ready to go up. It just took out the range lows, and it's back inside. So if it breaks out of the range, right? Breaks out of the range, I might be interested. Gives me a setup I like, I might be interested. I don't have that quite yet. No weekly sweep, weekly lower low. So I'd want to see a little bit more before I personally hop in something like this, but still in a range. And if it can break out, it could start that reversal. All right, because we have a ton of news to get to, and we're going to get into some of the charts with news, I'm going to do Oracle, AT&T, and then I'll do ANSEM, Cashcat, and Pengu very quickly. So I'm going to do Oracle here. So selling off, right? Clear lower high. Man, look at this breaker trade, dude. Oh my God. Monthly breaker. Right? Once we got that weekly lower low, holy crap, that should have been a fucking full port short. Full port short. Like, and this is like, what, OTE as hell as well? Right into the premium. Man, that would have been a really nice short there. But yeah, I mean, this thing looks weak. Weekly is in a downtrend, and it's about to make new lows. Monthly structure is here, and it's breaking internal monthly structure. So if we break this on the monthly, that's bad news for whatever, you know, is going on over at Oracle. Probably some sort of bounce and then short it again. So if we get something like this, I think it's probably a short up there. But yeah, it looks like meh. Man, what a short that would have been. I wish I had that on my watch list. These types of setups do not appear often, these like monthly breakers with weekly confirmation. But when they do, like, that's a straight 50% move down with not even a fucking hiccup of a bounce on the weekly chart. Fucking lips are so fucking dry up here, bro. Saw you on the last podcast with Ponzi. Learning alpha from you, bro. I'm glad to hear, dude. All right, let's look up AT&T. Oh my God, dude. Imagine just holding this thing for the last 20 years, bro. You're in agony. Like, bro, that's 20 years of sideways. Like, I'll admit, like, I'll concede it's 100% range, right? Like, it's $15 to $30 is 100% range here. But like, bro, that's fucking pain, dude. Goated, cell phone, .com bubble, massive correction, and then just range bound for literally 20 years. So I don't know who's in this or why. A lot better stuff to look at. I'm not saying like AT&T doesn't make money, you know, but it's like 20 years of sideways. Eventually this range will break, and if it breaks to the upside, could end up being a monster trade. So worth watching for sure. Right? But wow. Going out to the quarterly chart here, I think this would be the bull case, right? We took out the range lows and we got a little sweep down here. AT&T dividends, I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you're getting the dividend on a profitable company, sick. I just mean more so if you like bought this thing expecting it to go up. But I don't know if it dividends. So 3-month sweep and then breaker. Like, that's somewhat interesting to me. Weekly looks like maybe it wants to turn around. You get down to the daily here, right? This is that 3-month breaker here. If we now get something like this, a move above 22, I think that this all of a sudden looks good for a move, you know, back towards the range highs. You also have single line analysis here. Would line up very well. So that's what I would be looking at on AT&T. All right, let me pull up ANSEM coin here. I'm going to do ANSEM, Cashcat, and then I'm going to do Pengu. And I got to move on, guys. It's been summer. I've been on my fucking hot boy shit, you know, walking. You guys seen me. I got lean. I lost a bunch of weight. Been going to the gym, walking 10K steps. The moment it's patio beer season, bro, I fell off the wagon, boys. I fell off the wagon completely. My best friends visiting from Australia, patio beers, World Cup games, fucking NBA Finals games. And I've been slacking on the walking, and I've been slacking at the gym. It's really bad. So once I'm done this, I have to go to the gym because my parents are coming over for dinner. And if I don't go to the gym before they get here, I won't go. So ANSEM here, still feeding the streets. Now it's down a little, right? Market's up, ANSEM down. Whether that is people taking profit, right? There's people who have made money on this thing, I believe, right? Like, people have made money on this. This can't be right. Who knows deck screener better than me? I'm retarded. There's no way the top trade on this thing is only $11,000. That's got to be wrong. That's maybe pulling the wrong pool. Like, I don't know. I'm not fucking good at this shit, boys. Which one of these is the best one? This one's got way more lick. I'm not so retarded that I don't understand how the liquidity works. Okay, here we go. Is this one better? There you go. Someone's made $2.7 million on this thing. Like, we got a lot of six-figure P&Ls here, boys. Now, devil's advocate, who's to say this isn't ANSEM himself? Or someone ANSEM adjacent? I'm not saying that. I trust ANSEM. I know Zion in real life. We've hung out many times. He knows my wife. I don't think it's him, but who knows? Like, if I'm playing devil's advocate, game theory, right? Like, I mean, he owns 58% of the supply, valued at 132 million. There's tons of volume going through this coin, right? 11 million in the last 24 hours. And there's several million in liquidity, including spot listings. I think you can sell spot on Hyperliquid. It would be very easy to peel off millions of dollars in profit without fucking the chart up to side wallets that he or people around him that he's informed have controlled. And you could make tens of millions of dollars on this thing while barely moving the needle on the supply. Call it airdrops, whatever. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not a trencher. I'm not a fucking on-chain analyst. I'm just playing like devil's advocate. Like, what's the worst case scenario? I don't know. But the question of whether or not this is peeling off, because arguably, yeah, people have made money. Like, there's people who have made money on this coin. So there's going to be profit taking on something that comes out of nowhere and goes up, you know, thousands of percent in a very short amount of time. Like, if we go to the weekly chart here, it went up. Let's see if I can do the monthly. Is the monthly going to give me a number? This thing went up. It's not even showing me. It's not even showing me. Fuck you, dude. Let me do my thing, dude. Don't fucking harsh my mellow, bro. But this thing went up over like thousands of a percent in a very short order of time. People are up six figures. Profit taking is going to happen. I don't know if anyone believes this is a multi-billion-dollar coin. Maybe it is, but the fact of the matter is it went from zero to damn near $500 million in no time flat. So part of this is going to be profit taking. Part of it could be that Bitcoin and some other stuff is going up and people would rather have their money in that, which I think is generally a better idea. If you made a bunch of money on a meme coin, I think you should cash it out. Secure your life, change your life, buy some real assets, a house, Bitcoin, fucking watches, stuff that's real and tangible, because most coins are going to zero. It's just how it is. So maybe that's part of it. This breaker ended up working quite nicely. Break and structure, break and retest. Now it's kind of rejecting from this bullish order block or this bearish order block here. I think part of this is Cashcat as well. I think if is this Cashcat? No. Right? Like, people were selling ANSEM to buy Cashcat and then one and the other. Like, I think if you're trying to express the ANSEM thesis trade and the trenches are back trade, you're probably long both of these things. Cashcat, you could argue, is at demand here. I can't believe I'm saying the words Cashcat and at demand. So, like, that is a setup, right? Like, this is a setup in its own right to a new high. I don't know, but this is not my game. And then on the ANSEM side, like, the stuff you guys get me to do is crazy. On the ANSEM side, like, it's rejecting there. Obviously, a lot of people made some money. There's some profit taking, but this is attempting to, like, turn around. Like, if this is going to go up again, right? There's your low. You want to see this make a higher low here now on the 4 hour. You have a low, a high, higher low, higher high. You want to see this hold here if it's going to go up again. Because if it breaks this trend line and fails to make a higher high, then I think it just rolls over one more time. And then we wait and see. I still have no idea how this stuff looks or does if the market corrects. This coin launched on June 27th. Bitcoin bottomed like right around then and is up, 10 plus 15% in that same time period. If Bitcoin puts in a 20% down move and makes a new low, I imagine this stuff gets smacked in the face. But I don't know, because again, this market cap is not even real, because ANSEM holds 60% of the supply. So you can kind of assume the market cap's not actually this. Neither is the circulating supply, because so much of this is held by someone who is one person and is saying he's not going to sell. So the tokenomics aren't exactly what they appear to be, because you can, if ANSEM is doing what he says he's going to do, which is like, I'm going to hold on to this supply, I'm going to airdrop it to users, bag workers, point people to different protocols, you know, the dream, the communist manifesto dream of crypto, everyone's going to make it, we're all going to make it, then this supply is essentially locked, right? So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Yeah, I mean, and the moment this stuff comes back, right, what happens? The moment the trenches come back and everyone says the trenches are the best, most active people in crypto, I don't know if I agree. I think the trenchers are arguably the most scammy bunch. Like, scamming in crypto used to take some level of sophistication. Like, you launched a coin, but at least there was a white paper and you had fake partnerships, and it was like a slow rug, like, you know, Charles Hoskins with Cardano or some shit like that, allegedly, of course. You know, it's a slow rug, or it's a VC rug, you know, or it's a, you hack something, you do phishing. Like, there was some sophistication and effort. Trenches, it's like the lowest brow. It's like bundle, launch the coin, try and get someone to talk about it, tweet about it, instantly nuke it. It just is like the lowest denominator of crypto, in my opinion, trenching. I understand why it exists, and I'm an old, grumpy, curmudgeonly bastard, and all the kids are doing it are young and hip and play Fortnite. I get it. But to me, like, you know, trading is trading. At least you can stack the deck in your favor to a certain extent. With this stuff, you never know, right? The moment the trenches heat up again and ANSEM brings volume back to the trenches, what do the users immediately do? Mass rape. Let's try and scam people. Let's launch a bunch of copycats. Let's try and vamp some liquidity and immediately rug it. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know. Okay, last up, I'm going to look at Pengu. Shout out to our boy, my friend, Luca Necht. So we've been talking about this one for a while, the 5 stages of main. It had a breakout here, but fully retraced. So you kind of have to reassess now, because we had that move up, and now it's back within this OG range, right? So you kind of have to ask yourself, okay, what now, right? So we're back in this OG range. We had this big move up, and if you zoom out, really what we're looking at is like, is the weekly going to put in a higher low? And right now it's kind of like really, really, you know, at a sketchy level here. Not my favorite looking chart right now, other than the fact that, you know, we're at this high time frame demand and this thing is, you know, been murdered. There was the big airdrop, crazy valuation. This thing was at billions. I mean, it's down 80, almost 90%. So that's what it has going for it. But yeah, it's back in this kind of OG range. You could argue you have a brand new aggressive sell-off, less aggressive. Now it's going sideways. And this thing's just going range bound. So it's deep. It's down low, right? So there's that going for it. But I'd want to see some bullishness down here on some of the lower time frames before I were to get interested. Thanks for the alpha going all in on ANSEM. Exactly. So there, guys. That's kind of all I got. Like, that's kind of all I got right now on the chart side. So we know what we're looking at on Bitcoin. We know our high time frame plan. I don't think I can be any clearer, more straightforward than that. So I hope that that made sense to everyone. As always, if you have questions, let me know. Real quick, I want to remind you guys. I want to remind you to follow the order book on Twitter. Over 4,200 followers. I built this show from scratch. Not using some other account, not just running it on my account. Like, this is a brand new Twitter account that we made when we launched the show, like a little over 5 months ago. And I'm really happy with the growth so far, guys. And I really appreciate all of you guys for watching. I know we're in a bear market. This show has grown every single month. Every single month, we've gotten more views. So I'm really, really happy about that. And I fully expect that to continue. And I hope you guys are finding value. So if you want to see clips and stuff, from the show, we post them on the order book Twitter. We also post them on the order book Instagram. This is getting close to 1,000. Some of these clips do pretty well, thousands of views. Sometimes we crack into the hundreds of thousands. It's awesome. So good clips coming out here. It's Order Book Show on Twitter and on Instagram. Make sure you follow on both. I really appreciate it. And obviously, make sure you're going and watching these whiteboard series videos. If you're confused about any of the boxes, the lines, the verbiage I use in any of these streams, I explain all of it in this video series. We're halfway through. We just posted the 14th video. I recorded the 15th today. They come out every single week. The first video, over 20K views already. I'm really happy with how these are going. Top-down analysis, right to exact entries, all that fun stuff. So if you want to know how I trade, this is the sauce. This is the resource. Go check it out, okay? And last but not least, shout out to Kraken. So Kraken Pro has been sponsoring these streams for a while now, and they just launched Kraken Prop, which is funded trading built right inside of Kraken Pro. So you can now trade prop like you do a breakout within Kraken Pro. You pay for an evaluation. They start as cheap as 20 bucks. Prove you can trade, and you can get access up to a 200K funded wallet. Your maximum financial exposure is that evaluation fee. So whatever you pay for that $20, that's the maximum that you can lose. There's no strings attached, no time limits, no consistency rules, no profit caps, no strategy restrictions. So if you see all the drama, going on in the prop world right now about prop firms, you don't have that issues at Breakout. You don't have those issues at Kraken Prop either. So it's all native within your Kraken Pro account. The evaluation, the funded wallet, it all happens within Kraken Pro, and your payouts live there as well. And you can use those Kraken funds you already have to actually buy the evaluations. So it's built on trust. Kraken's been around for over 15 years at this point. They're ranked #1 globally by Kaiko, $2 trillion in platform volume. They funded more than 35,000 wallets since 2023, 0 payout delays. Real talk, obviously most people don't pass on their first attempt. This is a structured performance environment. Here's how it works, right? You do the evaluation and then you get funded. You will fail if you're not paying attention. So come in serious. Your maximum downside is that evaluation fee, but that's real money that you can lose. So go to pro.kraken.com/app/Kraken Pro if you want to check it out. It is an unregulated service. It's not available in every region, so make sure you read the disclaimer. So shout out to Kraken Pro for supporting your boy, supporting the show. We're now moving on here, guys, and someone just asked me about Polymarket US codes. We finally got them. Code main works on Polymarket US. Bro, if my mom is pregnant, you are the GOAT. She's almost 70. I was very gentle. Don't worry. I was very gentle. Yeah, so Code Main works on Polymarket US. So guys, the Kospi, which is like the Korean index, had its biggest sell-off in like 20 years, basically, since 2008. So if I pull up the Kospi, which is here, this thing sold off like 30+%, and it had a 9% drop on July 13th. That's its third worst single day fall since 2008. This has been driven by a brutal sell-off in chip giants like SK Hynix, which was down 15%, and Samsung Electronics. So like a quick kind of summary of what's been going on in this AI semiconductor kind of super cycle, right? So the story is that we're in this memory super cycle, not a GPU super cycle. So the memory comes in two forms. There's DRAM and NAND. So DRAM, my understanding, okay, is like virtual memory, like you need the power on. NAND is more long-term, but these data centers need way more memory, way more DRAM and NAND than the industry has the capacity for. That's why when you see some of these crazy valuations and stuff talking about going out years into the future, because the industry does not even have the capacity for this. So prices have gone absolutely bonkers, absolutely vertical. So we have DRAM contract prices up 100% quarter over quarter in Q1, 50% quarter over quarter in Q2. AI data centers are expected to consume roughly 70% of the global memory supply this year. New capacity doesn't even arrive until 2027. So they don't even have the capacity now. They're talking a year out already or later. And so the results are we have these insane earnings that don't even look real. Samsung Q2 operating profit was $58 billion. That's 19x higher than the year prior. SK Hynix had a 72% operating margin in Q1. Micron up 300% this year. Even more if you go back to last year. SanDisk, which is a pure play NAND spinoff, is up almost 800% this year. So SK Hynix and Samsung make up, I believe, like, what is it, 45% of the Kospi. So when you saw SK Hynix sell off here, okay, massively, and you saw Samsung sell off here massively, it makes sense that the Kospi sold off massively as well. And so you've seen this massive move on memory, but then you've seen kind of a laggard in things like NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, which was one of the, most bullish charts seemingly not that long ago, right? A year ago, this crazy run, everyone was waiting on NVIDIA earnings. NVIDIA is actually only up about 5% on the year, and it's up less than the S&P 500 is itself. On top of that, it's trading below its kind of 5-year norm. Broadcom is flat, but then you have companies like Intel up 220%, AMD up 140%, TSMC up 46%. So money is rotated out of some of these more expensive AI names, and they got into the cheap stuff that got re-rated super hard. So the bear case, and we saw a bit of this over the last few days, is Samsung and SK Hynix, like I said, they make up a massive amount of the Korean index. Massive amount of the Korean index, okay? And what we talked about a few months ago on stream was people were borrowing money to get long this AI trade in Korea. Koreans are degenerate gamblers. Gambling is illegal there. So you see a lot of Koreans very aggressively trade stocks and crypto, very degenerately. They're huge markets, and to the point where they've been banned in many cases. And we talked about this months ago on stream when SK Hynix and Samsung and the Kospi, these things were ripping, and Koreans were literally borrowing money to get levered, trading single stock ETFs, right? Because, this fucking, and levered, borrowing money to get in this trade. And then when it takes a hit, you have this massive kind of liquidation type move. The index fell 9% in a single session. Couple that with US-Iran tension, and the world's best performing market over the last year dropped 25% from its high just a few weeks ago. So has memory pricing peaked? The shortage is already cannibalizing consumers. I don't really know. There's a lot going on here, but that kind of is what's going on, over the last few days here. And if you look at what's going on in Korea, right? Massive nukes, massive liquidations, 300,000 accounts liquidated. This sounds like crypto. 3.4% of working age adults got licked. 3% of the population. Brokerage deposits fell 20 billion. So profit taking on the chip stocks, potential profit missage, high leverage, global tensions, all of this fueled the drop. And who knows? Does this continue? Has this market topped yet? I don't know. Now, while this happened, SK Hynix pulling back, SK Hynix got listed on the NASDAQ, and after all of these Koreans got liquidated, this got listed on the American market and fucking ripped. It fucking ripped. So kind of a smack in the face, and it reminds of Squid Games here, right? Koreans received the biggest ever wealth boom for memory stocks. Everyone had an opportunity to print. I mean, this stuff, before it went down, look at the run that this thing has been on. This is a year. In the last year, okay, 2025, it's up 274, and then it went up another 200+% in 2026. At its peak, this thing was up like 1,700%. Samsung, same thing. Massive gains in the last 2 years. And what do? They ride this bubble up, and then they double down with leverage, and they get blown the fuck out. And so if you remember from Squid Games here, this guy was in the Squid Games because of leverage trading. He's like, why are you here? I thought you were financially stable. It's the same thing. The Grim Reaper all the time is leverage. Most people have no idea how leverage works. They have no business using leverage. And it is the reason for so many blowups where you might end up in the Squid Games, or you might end up being Suzu and blowing up your $18 billion fund because you got over levered. So be careful with the leverage, my friend. So crazy stuff coming out of Korea. The SK Hynix down 38% from its June high. $200 billion in market value. The sell-off has cut South Korean NVIDIA suppliers' market cap from 1.25 trillion to 1.05 trillion. It's almost back in 12-figure hell with the rest of us. Shares are down 30% in July, putting on track for the largest monthly decline since October. So is this a sign of things to come for the American markets? Is Korea front running? We got a lot of markets in America that are still looking like this, right? Look at MU. MU hasn't had a big sell-off yet. SanDisk hasn't had its crazy sell-off yet. It is off the high, 20%, but not as big as what's gone on here, right? So something to watch. SK Hynix shares dropped more than 15% in South Korea on Monday, one of the biggest single-day fall-offs in 20 years, just days after they were literally cutting the ribbon on the NASDAQ floor. The biggest reason was that many investors decided to sell their shares and take profit after the stocks have gone up so much this year. You got to remember, much like NVIDIA, there were tons of people who worked at SK Hynix, made a ton of money, and are now profit-taking. Right? They're getting their money out. They're taking profit. So this is going to be something to watch. Does this stuff just V-bottom back to new highs? Like, is that it? Is that it for the sell-off and this thing's just going to go up again and the party continues? Or is this the beginning of something much larger? We don't know yet. We don't know yet, but it's crazy to see what's going on. If there's a lesson to be careful with leverage, that's it. Now, Baby Folio here is still bullish. He says memory is selling off while every fundamental data point points in the opposite direction. Okay? It's about as close to easy money as you'll get. And he's careful using that phrase. People are calling for another 50% drop from here. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to them either. Do your own research and come to your own conclusion. So he's saying, hey, everything is still bullish. And if you look, things are arguably still very bullish, right? Like Micron still looks very bullish. Sales rose 345% in the last quarter. SanDisk up 800% year to date. Last quarter sales up 250%. So the money, the revenue, the demand is still there. I think the biggest bear case is two things. One, the bear case is quite simply that the forecasting, right? Like the pricing is peaked. We've hit such a crazy multiple that this pricing is peaked, and even any sort of minimal underperformance will be downstream shown in massive corrections in the stock. And then I think the other bear argument is kind of the Michael Burry argument that this is just like bubble level valuation thesis, a thesis that we're seeing. Like, hey, yeah, don't worry. Everything fundamentally still looks good. It's like, yes, they're still making money. There's still demand, but we've gotten so crazy with these valuations that a correction is just necessary. But we're seeing some corrections. And who's to say that, hey, the money's still there. These companies are still printing. This can't still just go right back up. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. Yeah, a lot of Koreans going to wake up pissed. The NASDAQ version of STA Hynix up 20% after getting absolutely wrecked using leverage. The U.S. stock market obviously surged today on cool inflation. And this is the coolest inflation print, CPI print, that we've had in a long time. A very long time. So we've obviously got the new Fed chair in. We've got Warsh. But this is the coolest print, right? Largest monthly decline in CPI since 2020. Okay, this is like COVID times. June CPI inflation falls to 3.5%, below the expected 3.8%. Core CPI inflation falls to 2.6%, below the expectation of 2.8%. Month over month, CPI inflation fell 0.4%. Biggest monthly drop since May of 2020. And the stock market's ripping on that news. So Capsy here says he's doubling his position on no rate hikes for 2026. So there's going to be multiple rate decisions still for the year, right? There's one in October, one in September, one in December. So you can say no rate hikes for the entire year. There's 3 more potential opportunities for there to be rate hikes, okay? He's doubling down because Warsh, they got to update this picture. It's not Jerome anymore, but I like it. Keep Jerome. We love Jerome. But he's saying no rate hikes. $1,000 pays $2,000. It's basically doubling your money. His view is that inflation has peaked and we're actually going to head to probably some sort of maybe deflation. This relies on the straight opening soon. I don't know. The print did come in soft, so he was right there. But who knows? The war's back on. Now Trump and Iran are not talking. He says, I'm going to start a new war and I'm going to win another war because you already won the last war about 40 times. So we need a new war that he can win again. And then he tweets out, someone tweets out that he says, I think a deal's possible. So I just think we have no fucking clue what's going on over there, really. But he's fading Waller's comments for now, hoping he's just salty that he didn't get the chair pick. So Waller is saying that inflation can still go up. But Warsh, who is the chair, says that the inflation surge is over. It's a thing of the past. So if that is your thesis, if you agree that inflation is going to come down, soft CPI prints continue, no rate cuts, this is the market to speculate it on Polymarket. Like you want to know how to express your view on inflation, the inflation trade, the Strait of Hormuz maybe reopening, us heading towards lower and lower inflation month over month here for the rest of the year. You can express that trade here on Polymarket 2-to-1. So rather than trading the stock market itself, you can just make a 2-to-1 bet here. You want to risk $5,000, $5,000 pays you over 10 grand. And that just means that over the next 3 Fed meetings, there's no rate hikes. And this has been trending up aggressively now. I mean, gosh, you could have bought this back in May at 13%. Right? So if you go to limit here, when this was at 13 cents, that 5,000 pays off a much bigger amount here. Pretty cool. So IBM collapsed 20% down after posting weaker than expected earnings due to weakness in the software and infrastructure business. 55 billion in market cap erased. Like I said, these numbers are just getting silly and it reminds you of just how small crypto is. But like this is a big ass move down in a really big company because they came in weaker than expected on earnings. So their earnings, okay, the estimate for revenue. Why is this not showing me? Where is this quarterly? Here we go. So they had quarterly estimate of what is going on here? Here we go. 17.86 billion. And they only did 17.2 billion. So it was a miss. Okay. Not a big miss. Not a huge miss. Still making an ungodly amount of money. Still making ungodly amounts of money, but they missed their earnings. It was a surprise negatively. And the stock is down 25% on the week. 55 billion in market cap erased. Urinal Cake here, what a fucking phenomenal name, is blaming Indians. So there you go. That's one take. But pretty crazy stuff. And this, again, it makes me think that crypto is still so small, still so in its nascence. And, we're not even at a point where we're losing this kind of market. Like, this thing's lost its market cap on crazy earnings that they still have. It's just a miss. And this is one of the things that I think of when I'm thinking of this memory trade. What happens if these companies, again, the fundamentals are still there, the demand is there, but their earnings don't go up as much as people think? So they still made money, right? But it was 600 million less than they expected. They thought they were going to make 17.8 billion. They only made 17.2. And that's a miss of less than 4%. The stock's down 25%. What happens if one of these memory companies misses its earnings, right? One of these AI semiconductor companies misses its earnings by a decent amount, right? So what is there to watch on that trade? TSMC, which is one of these companies to watch, has earnings in 2 days. So this might be a good read on the health of the chip market. TSMC is earning on July 16th. Samsung's full Q2 results are coming out late July. You have hyperscalers like Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, and Google. Those are also in late July. And then we have NVIDIA earnings in late August. So as you guys know, MU smashed their most recent earnings, right? Smashed it. They beat by 15%. What happens if they only beat by 10%? Or if they actually don't beat their next earnings call? Could we see something similar to IBM? I don't know. Just speculating. Just throwing shit out there. New business idea here, guys. Be Michael Burry. Call one single stock market crash ever and start a newsletter, $40 a month, have 300,000 subscribers, and all of a sudden you're making like $10 to $12 million a month. $10 to $12 million a month. Unless I'm wrong, I checked. He's got 300,000 subscribers and it's $40 a month. Be right once about the stock market crash. Predict a new crash every year because, I mean, he's been calling for the top on the stock market for fucking years. Literally years. But 300,000 people want to know what he has to say. They're willing to pay him $40 a month and he's absolutely printing. Like, why even have a fund anymore if you can make this kind of money? I mean, this is the ultimate paid group. The ultimate paid newsletter, giga scale. I've got to level my game up. First, I need a newsletter. Well, I have one, tradermain.com. It's free. Second, I need 300,000 subscribers. And then I need to charge. I wonder if he gives stop entry target like your boy Trader Main does in the newsletter. You think he's giving stop entry target, or you think he's saying, hey guys, it's all over and it's going to be over for so like, I would love for someone to audit, because he's like literally deactivated his Twitter before after calling for a crash and it just never comes. And eventually he's going to be right. We are going to get some sort of big correction. I think a lot of people are expecting that. But like, does that matter if you were calling it, up? It's like, we're going to crash. 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 I told you so. And it's like, well, bro, like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I lost all my money on all of these shorts. So that's a real question. Is Michael Burry giving you stop entry target like Trader Main is? I don't think so. But if these numbers are right, I mean, he's absolutely printing millions of dollars a month on a newsletter. Pretty crazy scenes. I got to step up. My game. In AI news, I've been George. I've entered the George verse. There's now a Trader Main in the George verse. The George Costanza verse is one of the coolest things to come to the internet in recent history, in my opinion. And I'm in it. It's an order block, Jerry. This is what I will look like when I'm 65, based on the fact that I look like this at 45, and I still can't grow a beard. I still can't grow a beard. It's crazy. Couple more here, guys. TPBN had on Alexis Ohanian. Hope I'm saying that right. He is on there basically saying something that we've talked about on the stream, that there's a culture shift for Gen Z back to IRL. So culture shift. Gen Z's been online. The internet is a horrible place, and they're trying to move back to real life. They're trying to move back to real life. So there is a craving, according to this guy, from Gen Z for real life events. They are joining run clubs to have verifiably human, experiences. We partner with run clubs in order to build our fan base. By learning about run clubs the last few years, I've learned that it's Gen Z's way to push back on the toxicity of online dating culture. It is a way to push back and almost break the sort of jaded narrative of online life. Here's what I'll tell you about run clubs. People go to run clubs to have sex. Okay? That's what people do at run clubs. They go to run clubs to have sex. Because if you're in a run club, that means you're in shape. You take care of your body, you're disciplined, and you want to meet another person who is in shape, take care of their body. You have similar interests. You're both in run clubs. They're all fucking each other. So if your girlfriend joins a run club without you, bad news. She's having sex with someone in the run club who can run a mile faster than you and probably has a six-pack, and you're fat. So that's what's actually going on at run clubs. Now, I do agree with this general take. I do think we're going to see a shift back to analog. People are tired of the touch screens, everything being online. But you kind of have these two competing ideas happening at the same time. This desire to get offline and craving IRL experiences like run clubs where you go and have sex with people, as opposed to being on Tinder and then going to have sex with people. But you also just have this massive quantum leap in AI, and everyone is using it now for everything, and it's revolutionizing the world. And on top of that, it's also this kind of hyper gambling, speculate on everything culture. Like on Polymarket, you can bet on everything now. Perps, stocks, combo bets, private markets, what Trump's going to say in a speech, dating online, AI, all of this is counterweighting this desire for people to be offline and have real life experiences. So I love the idea. I kind of agree with this sentiment, but at the same time, people have never been more fixated of trying to get ahead by gambling their way out of, the poverty class through crypto, through stocks, through options, through prediction markets, and it's turned into people being chronically online. It's a very weird kind of Black Mirror-esque type of situation that we're in here. But at the end of the day, if your girlfriend is in a run club without you, she is cheating on you. This is a fact. You can take that one to the bank. But yeah, love to see that young people are joining run clubs and now using that as a way to meet potential mates. Nikita saved the algo. Okay, we're rolling out a small tweak to boost visibility of posts to your mutuals, people you follow back. Ever since he did this, all I see on my timeline are people I actually follow. Before this, all I would see is like political, racial inciting slop about war, about, oh, this race did this race did this. Like shit that's just meant to trigger you and make you jaded and angry and hate society. That was my entire feed. Now, I'm just seeing a bunch of people who I follow. Some of these people, again, I haven't seen in years. Like, Big Beta, where you been, bro? Where you been, bro? Like, I have not seen some of these people in forever. And it's just like, it's just amazing to me that all Nikita had to do, what's up, Rui, is flip a little switch. And now all of a sudden, I'm seeing people I actually follow on my timeline. So shout out to Nikita for finally doing this, because whatever he did He fucking fixed. I appreciate it. So if you're seeing more of your boy Maine, that's fucking awesome. I do follow Mr. Frog. I just haven't seen him there. Real quick, Polymarket's doing a combo cup. So 50K in daily bonuses paid out to top combo trades on Polymarket. Ends July 31st. So you still have a couple weeks left. You can now do combination bets on Polymarket. So effectively parlays. You can parlay, different sports going on, right? Different outcomes in those sports, who's going to win. And then you can combo that across various different markets here. So is it goals scored? Is it outright winners? Is it money lines? It also has examples of combos here, right? England advances. Harry Kane scores a goal in regulation. And both teams score no. Like there's all sorts of combos that you can pick here that have crazy payouts, 13x on your money. So that means Argentina is going to win. Leo Messi scores 2 goals, and both teams score at least 1 goal. That's 13x, right? $100 on that, $1,000 on that. Pretty juicy. And so for the biggest combos that get done, they're also going to be adding on top up to 50K in bonuses every single day, paid out to top combo traders. So that ends July 31st. As you guys know, Polymarket's one of the sponsors of the show. I really appreciate them for sponsoring me. They let you bet on real world events, do all sorts of cool stuff, and they're continuing to iterate. And they've been asking me to help with stuff too. I'm helping review products and stuff they're working on. So, really cool. Check that out. I got cooked on the France bet too, bro. I don't know if you looked at my balance here, but it's a lot lower than it was before because, for one single moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, I could bet on a French person or a French team and they wouldn't fuck me over. And sure enough, they didn't even score. They surrendered with 0 goals, typical French activities, and they lost. Now, as you guys remember, I bet on France and Spain to win early on. But then today, like a freaking idiot, I bet on France to win with $2,500. And then I closed my bet on Spain winning for profit. But I would have been up way more because they ended up winning. So I picked the wrong horse there. That's wrong. I still have both Argentina and England to win. So what I'm going to do is when I decide who's going to win tomorrow's game, I like Argentina to win more than I like England. And I also think Argentina has like a bit of the fix, right? The fix is in for Argentina. I'm going to close one of these bets for profit, and then I'm going to double down on the winner of the game. So if I think Argentina is going to win, I'll sell this, and then I'll raw bet Argentina to win tomorrow, and that's how I'm going to make it all back. It's really quite simple. It's quite mathematical. It's very easy. To score a goal in regulation means it has to be in regulation time. It can't be during extra time, like overtime. All right, guys, so that's it. Tuesday's episode done and dusted. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, if you want to support your boy, share the show. Retweet, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you're following me everywhere. Instagram, follow the order book page on Instagram and Twitter as well. Go to tradermain.com, free Discord, free Telegram, free newsletter. Okay? I love you guys. I hope you're learning something. I hope you're enjoying.